No, it's like sometimes they would want you to do like a panel with like 3 or 4 people. And I'm not into that. Or a duet, you know, where you go and, because,
Yeah, but also if you're part of a network or you're getting sponsored, then your control over your own content then kind of becomes a little bit suspicious, right? So, because like if you're, for example, Starbucks sponsors you, maybe a video or something. Well then, you know, they can come in and say, hey, I want to talk more about this. No, you have to like coffee. We need to talk.
throw some kind of, throw hazelnut into the talk. Grande. Don't use the word grande. I had a grande realization. That's the thing, you don't want to let, if you let a little in,
Right.
forget it. That's, you want to just sort of, like if I wanted to listen to other people, I can maybe grasp what they're saying, but it wouldn't be a sense feltness. So I could understand what they're saying and maybe regurgitate it, but it's not like if you're like an independent bakery, yes? You just let it out and then, I've just been following dictates, I don't know what from, but they seem to be sound. So I don't really study anything or go over much. The things I read years and years ago, and they still trigger the same sense of exhilaration or whatever. What would they call it? In spirit is enthusiasm. You know, that sense of enthusiasm is brought about by the same things that triggered it like 30 years ago. That's the beauty of a living statement, and it's tailored to you. You know, there's certain things that work that don't work for other people. But I really like the the diagnostic aspect of some of it. Like the Course in Miracles is very diagnostic in a way. It tells you, in a way, what's happening from their view, which is like you and I are the dreaming of the dream. Pretty good. That's a pretty good description of what you may be. Not that you're the dreamt or you're in the dream, but you're the dreaming of it. You're the one. There's not a one, but you're the activity of the dreaming. Yeah, you're not someone in the dream, or you're not there's not a thing called a dream. It says you and I are the dreaming of the dream. That's incredible to me. If you really let it take you somewhere. Yeah, because usually as an object, and that reference, the lazy reference of everything as an object, you would think you're in a dream. Yeah, you would go, I'm in a dream. Yeah? But instead, the Course takes you back farther and says you're the dreaming of the dream. Much different, incredibly different. Yeah, so you and I are the dreaming of the dream, and I don't like the word dream because it means sort of like a thing. So I like you and I are the dreaming of the dreaming. So we are the activity that we seem to be in. Yeah? Wow. Yeah? So from this point of view, you're in, let's say, a dream. Yeah? But from the Course's Miracles is you're the dreaming of the dream. So you're the activity of what you think you're in. Yeah? It may sound like semantics, but it's incredibly different. Because one is a typical view from self-centeredness. That you're in something, so therefore you can get out of something. Yes? It always has a dualistic reaction. So I'm in, therefore I can be out. Not realizing the out is being in. Yeah? You see? But in this way, it short circuits that. It says you are actually the activity of what you think you're in. You're it. It's what? So you're the dreaming of the dream. You and I. So it says, we forget that we're dreaming. Now this is an incredible statement. All right. So how could a forgetting of dreaming be initiated? Yeah, just why not let your head roll around a little. So not take everything at face value. Oh yes, pledge, we are the dreaming of the dream, and we forgot that we're dreaming. Well, let's check it out. What is the activity of forgetting? How could the dreaming forget that it's dreaming, first of all? Wouldn't the forgetting that it's dreaming still be part of the dreaming? Yeah. So, see, this is the absoluteness of the solution. So therefore, there's no wiggle room that somehow you can do something to be out of it. Yeah, because nor that you can do something special to get in it. Yeah, it's just saying you are it. Yeah, so you and I are the dreaming of the dream. We forget that we're dreaming. Wow, how could that be possible? Well, it isn't possible, really, but it can seem to be possible. And if you look at the word seem, it appears to be true or false to us. Okay, so it's a total diagnostic. It's just telling you exactly what's happening. You know, if it fits, you wear it. If you don't, read on or read something else. Or, it's like little branches that you can grasp that can keep the head busy until things get aligned, yeah? Yeah. Because the real movement, the real reconfiguring, you're not aware of. You're an expression of, yeah? The surface consciousness is really out to lunch, period. No matter how much you try to refine it, it's got a very limited scope. It's not seeing the undercurrents of what's going on. It's an expression trying to give message or meaning to it and write a story about it. But basically, yes, there's things happening that you're not aware of, but you will be an expression of down the road. Yeah. All right, so you and I are the dreaming of the dreaming. We forget that we're dreaming. All right. I would say the word seemingly forget, which appears to what's dreaming that it's forgotten it's dreaming. Yeah. That's the only thing it needs to appear to is the dreaming, that it's forgotten it's dreaming. It doesn't have to appear to the dreamt. It doesn't go anywhere. Yeah. All right. So you and I are the dreaming of the dreaming. We forget that we're dreaming, and I humbly believe, or whatever, righteously believe, it doesn't matter however you take it, but persistently believe is true. I persistently have believed this for years, that it's in the act of being identified as what we call the dreamt, yeah? See, I see you, you're the dreamt, yeah? As Huang Po says, whatever can be perceived can't be perceiving, because the perceiving isn't the dream. It's not appearing in the dream. It's seeing the appearance of the dream, but it's not appearing in the dream, yes? So I'm seeing you, so you're off the game board, basically, so you're not this, because I can see you, yeah? I can see the body. So therefore the body can't be perceiving if it's perceived. That's what he's giving you us another simple diagnostic, which is, all right, whatever can be perceived can't be perceiving. All right, that ends that. All right, so the dreaming is seemingly identified as what's being dreamt, let's say. Yeah. And then suddenly this takes precedence in the dreaming. Now the dreaming is seen from the dreamt, and so now the dreaming seems real. It seems like it's really happening, that there's things out there, and there's things in here, and there's people, and there's separation, all this, yeah? All of it suddenly has a reality that if you see it from the dreaming, it may not lend itself to, but because you're looking at it from the dreamt, it seems real. To do what? To lend credence to the dreamt, yeah? The dreamt gets to be real by this being real, and yes, and vice versa. So by seeing you as real and Mill Valley is real, this and that, there's a certain inference that I'm real. That's what it's looking for. All right. So suddenly, the dreaming forgets that it's dreaming by being in the act of being identified as a dreamt. Now, it can be in that act quite a lot, but it never becomes the dreamt. But it can be engaged in the act of being identified as the dreamt, which is the selfing. Yeah. Which is the narration, the basic format. Even if it's silent, it's there. It's a format. This thing is formatted, yeah? It's formatted. It has rules and programming that the system itself can't go out of the system. Like we say in recovery, self can't get out of self. Yeah. So, or like Einstein said, you can't use the thing that produced the problem to get a solution to the problem. It's just, it's obvious if you look at it. Or in your own experience, you can see how have you succeeded in getting out of yourself. You seem always to be there. So it's like some shit stuck on your shoe you can never get off. As long as, yeah. So, all right, you and I are the dreaming of the dream. We forget that we're dreaming, which is impossible, but here we go. We seemingly forget, and then what happens when we forget that we're dreaming? This is interesting, because this is where you can see the diagnostic applied in your own experience. You will be your own fucking doctor, so to speak, finally. Or it's like Buddha said, you be a light unto yourself, and you be your own laboratory. So now you see what happens when I forget that I'm dreaming by being identified as a dreamt. I suddenly give everything I'm dreaming all the power to affect me as the dreamt. All right, so if we're giving everything all the meaning it has as part of the dreaming, thoughts would be something we're giving meaning to, yeah? And feelings, suddenly, by giving the meaning to a thought that it's about you or yours, that thought can ruin your day. Yes? It's incredible. It's not ruining anyone else's day unless that person's close to you and you can fucking act out on them. But it's ruining seemingly your day. So suddenly, all the power, all the meaning you've given to things, suddenly boomerang back on you and can affect you as the dreamt. It's like a perfect diagnostic of everyone's Saturday. If you really looked at it from a different view, you would see people are the shore that their own meaning is returning to. Bam, bam, bam. I wish I was in fucking Hawaii instead of Marin City or whatever it may be. Yes? Now, the thing is, I don't want to have any of those thoughts. Those thoughts are going to happen. That's the whole point. But how they're being used can be seen through. Yes? So if the thought isn't being used it doesn't succeed in implying its meaning to you, you'll lose interest in the thoughts. So you don't lose interest in the thoughts, you lose interest in the you, which weakens the idea of the thoughts. Yeah? So you lose interest in the idea of being the thinker, and therefore the loss of interest is in every other thought. Instead of trying to lose interest in these bad thoughts or these sex thoughts or these greedy thoughts, you lose interest in the thinker, and then the greedy thoughts, sex thoughts, whatever, just come and go. They roll around just like everything else does, yes? Everything's just screaming, and you don't. So the relief is at the thinker point, not the thoughts. It's at the feeler point, not the feelings. It's at the actor point, not the actions, yes? If you get relief from the actor, the thinker, the feeler, you'll lose interest in a lot of the meaning that's being harvested out of the actions. You'll lose interest in all the meaning that's being harvested out of being the thinker, yeah? Or on the one who's, I shouldn't be feeling all this baloney, yeah? You'll lose interest in all of that, and what happens? Over a period of time, you'll see you're traveling lighter. As what? As what you're not, yeah? So now in the dreaming, instead of traveling heavy as the dreamt, you travel lighter as the dreamt because you're not the dreamt. Yes? Yet the dreamt continues, but you're not it. Fundamentally, you're not what it implies. You're not the thinker, you're not the feeler, you're not the doer, you're not the haver, you're not the loser. You're none of that. Yeah? And to the degree that catches or gains traction is in direct ratio to your traveling lighter. It doesn't say it's going to change, everything's going to get great. You'll travel lighter with whatever's supposed to happen on this day. And after years of it, you come to a conclusion. What more do you want as an action figure? In a place where you can really travel fucking heavy, and I've witnessed it in my own seeming experience, and I witness it a lot in other people's experiences now, I can travel lighter. Fucking hallelujah. Yeah. And when I'm traveling lighter, I seem to be available And I'm in that sense of presence. I'm not in it, I am that presence. So being the presence, which means I'm immediately always available, because what's availability has to be present. You know what I mean? If the help isn't now, then it's not available. Yeah. So how valuable is the help? So here I am. I'm present. Not as Paul, but as presence. Therefore, it's always available at all times. No matter what is streaming across the screen is there. Yes? Presence. So therefore, the screen is always available for a movie to be projected on, isn't it? When they have the 3 o'clock matinee, they don't have to fucking get a screen, put it in there. The screen's just been sitting there all day, and you could have run a 24-hour marathon on the screen. You could show Die Hard 1 to 12 all the way through for a weekend. No, the screen's like, I can't handle another Die Hard. You may not be able to handle it, but it can handle as many Die Hards as you want. So the screen is more like what we are. Yeah, all this stuff moving across it. Now, the attention and interest, for this to have any semblance of happening, there is a certain quota of interest and attention in the surface, or this wouldn't even be happening. But what happens with the obsession itself, let's say a little too much interest and attention goes upon the characterization, and you sort of get stuck. Yeah, it's not, everything's a melodrama. Everything is a fucking Homeric Odyssey starring you. And it's cool when you're young, but when you're like 60s or something and no one's sitting in the audience anymore, and no one's buying jujubes or nothing, there's like, oh, fucking again, it runs out, but now there seems to be a bond to the being that character, even to the point, and even you're not wanting to be the character is more of being the character, yeah? Because you can't lose interest in being interested. That would be interest, yeah? There's a weird little way. You yourself can't get out of what you seemingly are in. That's one of the biggest ins, is the desire to get out of something as me, yeah? It's realizing you're not that me that wants to get out is the way to go. Yeah? So the getting out isn't predicated on you escape what you were in. It's based on you were never in what you thought you were in. So the getting out isn't anything that is going to fall back on its opposite of being in. It's just out. Yeah, you're out of in and out, so to speak. Yeah. And the out of being in and out is that you were never in to get out, and you're never out to get in, all this, yes? Yeah. And you'll know the tree by its fruits. You'll know relief when you have it. And basically, in my experience, the relief, not only getting the relief, but then downloads would tell me why the relief wasn't seemingly available. That's what it does. Maybe because I have a seed assignment to share. And I've learned the true value of passing on an understanding is about what you're not, yeah? So let's speak about what we're not to what we are, instead of speaking about what we are to what we're not, really. Let's just go to the real situation at hand. It's not that you can't find what you are, you're looking for it from what you're not. So let's just have a negation, and it's not a denial, you know? Denial is something the mental state does. Negation is wisdom. You see what isn't so from what's so. If you try to understand what a lot of people think, I feel, their idea of getting it is getting it from what they're not. They now understand about what they're not as what they're not. No, it doesn't work. Yeah, it's just like spiritual constipation in a sense. If you, yeah? The negation is seeing what you're not, looking for what you are from what you are. Yeah? You see the whole activity of trying to get out is being in, of the idea of trying to get into the moment is predicated on an insane idea you could be out of a moment. You see the fallacy. It's really like a bizarro dance almost When you're thinking you're going forward, you're actually going backward. You know what I mean? All the while, really. It's almost that insane. It's like a rotation that all you need to do is let it rotate. Yeah? Which is, all right, here I am. I'm looking for what I am from what I'm not. Suddenly it rotates and I see the looking for what I am from what I'm not from what's looking. I see it. Like what? Maybe you need one example, maybe you need 80, who knows? But sooner or later, the critical mass, the 100th monkey syndrome will hit, and then you'll realize even all this movement has only been this. Yeah? You won't think it's going like this. At first you think it does, yeah? But after a while, no. It's always been, you're seeing what you're not from what you are. That has never changed. And even if it changes, even if it looks like it changed, and then you believe, well, it changed, or your fear that it will change, all that is all the antics of the mental, like ant colony, running around, moving its eggs to here, to there. You just see it. You just see it, and it's, what the hell? What are you gonna do? As soon as you get engaged to change it, you're fucking in it. Yeah? So you're, no, I fought for that many times. Let's just sort of just let the parade go. Once you think, I'm gonna lead the parade, or jump in, or stop the parade, you don't see it, that's part of the fucking parade. You know, you just sort of let things happen. And then your interest and attention gets redistributed. It's not yours, but what you feel is this vague, you know, space of onness gets reconfigured. The emphasis starts at a different point, and then that's my feeling of the horse is in front of the cart finally. Yeah, and once the horse is in front of the cart, it feels just fucking right. It just does. It just fits right. It's sort of like, wow, this train was on the tracks, but I had a car called Paul in front of the engine. Yeah? You know what I mean? I was wondering why I had no power. Suddenly now the engine is, and then it's like the horse is in front of the car. I feel it, you know? You feel the whole structure of it. And the sound. And, you know, put it to the test, years and years and years. It's, you know, all I can call it now is like the last answer. And in a place of answers and questions, it's a damn good answer, the last one, where it negates any need for any other answer concerning the topic. That's pretty damn good. No drive to turbocharge it, or radicalize it, or make it more extreme, or synthesize it with something else. No, you just leave nothing as nothing, and then it's everything. Yeah. And by doing the sharing, I've learned a few things. You know, that this isn't me talking to you. That whatever is coming through is aiming at itself, which you can't miss. You can't aim at everywhere. You just throw it up there with the hopes. It's sort of like, you ever watch basketball in the beginning of the game, they throw the ball up and these two tall guys try to tip it. So basically I know the limitations of this and this, so we throw the ball a little higher so you can't get it and something gets it, yeah? And then, so we're talking to that, what you are, and really trying to talk to it about what you're not. Even though it's an amazing thing, because if what you're not really got what was going here, it would fucking probably take off, which a lot of people do soon. But if you really got it, because it's waiting to get something. I saw it in my own sense. I figured, all right, I'm gonna wait this out. I know I'm gonna get a bonanza, but I realized no. But this is not gonna get fucking anything. So usually, if this is the dominant emphasis, it's gone, falling asleep. It doesn't give a shit, really, because there's nothing for it, really. You're not gonna write blogs. You're probably not gonna get many dates. There's not two, the non-dual matching sites, dating sites don't do well. There's no pictures of anyone. You're gonna get nothing. So, but listen, so let's say if a long enough time that thing goes to everywhere, that everywhere, you don't have to even hear the echo of it getting it. You don't. This is more like a speaker, or like it's not the fucking transmitter receiver. Yeah. The transmitting and receiving is going on unbeknownst to it mostly. But this is where the faith lies as someone sharing it. I know that I've seen the spiritual subpoena be served thousands and thousands of times at these meetings. Yeah. I've just seen it. And I have total faith that mind is more than enough for itself. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe it isn't about you ever have, you've had situations where time seems to go, speeds up or slows down. Can you imagine that 90 years really is gone in a flash? Yeah. Just because we have it on a spiel or whatever and it runs seemingly slow, we think we've been alive for 90 years. It could be like a nanosecond of like static going across a giant empty field. Yeah, it could be. So, I mean, to have a little of the attention and interest that's sort of caught under this weather front of selfing, lift up, I mean, it can only bring a benefit to what you're not. It really can. Because I really think what you're not is looking for something it can't find in here. It has to, there's got to be a loss of interest in it, not by it, but by what you are. And in a certain loss of interest, it gets much better balanced, yeah? And then that fucking, the dogs, when they have mange, they put those cones, So that little satellite dish of fucking Cape Paul all day gets a little dropped and you're starting to live, You can tend to others, you're available and you're present. Not without any effort or thought, because if there was any effort and thought, see, this is what blows my mind. If you look at you being conscious right now and the demonstration through seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, it's obviously that which is seemingly seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting is not demonstrating any thought or effort doing any of it, yeah? Now you may have to, because your ears are bad, you may have to bend to try to hear something, but that which is hearing isn't losing the ability to hear. The ear isn't able to facilitate it, the eye isn't able to facilitate it anymore, but the seeing isn't dimming, yeah? The seeing isn't need like crutches, it's on, always available at all times with no thought or effort. I just don't see why we believe thought and effort would allow us to arrive at that which demonstrates no thought or effort. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. I don't see it ever sweating, So I like the idea of Dzogchen and the relaxed awareness or stuff like that, because I really truly believe we are that. So when we start looking for ourselves, we focus that which is much better dispersed. Yes. Because you get an intimation of it in its dispersing. It seems to become functional when it's being used, and especially to look for itself as itself. That's such a fundamentally flawed activity that some of the great masters have pointed out many times. Like, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. Here's awareness as what you are being used to look for itself. Yeah?
I have a question about so I've noticed this personally, is the more of my meditation sort of improves and the more the selfing dies down, it definitely has this effect what you're talking about, as what I'm not becoming much more relaxed and happy and focused in what it wants to do. And I've tried to wrap my head around how this thing, understanding that it doesn't exist, it gets better, you know, from what you're not seeing, from what you are seeing, what you're not. Oh yeah, it makes perfect sense. Like, oh, I understand that I'm not this temporary body. Like, I can relax because I know whatever happens to that thing, I'm fine no matter what. But then, how does the body become relaxed, knowing that that's non-existent? You know what I mean?
It doesn't know that it's existent or non-existent, the body. And you see that what you said personally knowing, impersonally knowing would be, would go a lot farther. Again, see, the body, mental, can identify as being the one that's seeing it's not a body. That's not it either. That's another one of its little heists. So now an aspect of the body-brain says, I'm not the body-brain. It's pointless. Just see all that from what you're not. This is not about convincing what you're not. It's not so. That doesn't go anywhere in my view. It doesn't. You know, that goes into denial and stuff. Yeah, because obviously you are this for all intents and purposes. So let's just bypass that and see it as from what you are. And so let it have its little, it's got a programmed logic, you know, like this idea of, a big thing in AA that constantly at meetings for 30 years is the idea of God's will and self's will. It's insane, yeah? If you feel the programming of this body is based on you having choice, the whole storyline, why would you want to go as that into that source code and trying to change it? It's just pointless. Just fucking go to the thing going, I'm going to have a decaf latte, and then when you get there, mocha, oh, you see, I've proven, I have, it's pointless. Just, it doesn't matter. See, if this is crazy, usually in life, hopefully you'll get a chance to meet some kind of way of life which will subdue its craziness, yes? To the point where it's chilled out. Like, I'm not burning down houses or, jumping over fences, robbing people. There's not much. This doesn't have to be observed much anymore, yeah? It's been altered sufficiently that it can run a day at a time. Then you lift off, the job's done, you lift off, and you're on, but if you take it to be you, it's going to be an urban renewal project for the rest of your life. You're constantly going to be fucking pouring, not you, but tons of interest and attention will go over every little fucking nugget of you that you're not, yes? So this message is not about to you, even though it will say, I'm hearing I'm not that, But no, what really triggers change isn't that hearing, it's not that. What that triggers is absurdities like, there's no me. So when the girl breaks up with you, well, there was no girl that broke up with me, and there's no one to break up. They just put 30 minutes until they get to the emotional outburst they need to get relief as this, That's what it does when this claims to hear that it's not this. It fucking makes it into some strategy to get out of responsibility. Oh, I don't have to do the 12 steps of the I'm not a person. There's no person, so I don't need to do that. But then they're drunk and fucking in jail, and they're trying to, hey, bring me I am that. Obviously, it's not working because you're not the target of the message. You will be the expression of the message targeted to the right, to everywhere, yes? Yes? It will get digested there, regurgitated, and then you'll see the pitfalls that you would make if this keeps claiming to be, I'm not me. Yeah. You'll see them. And hopefully you'll go through that little immature stage, break out like a chrysalis, and more and more nothing. Yeah. And then this thing, well, I don't want to, whatever. See, a lot of what I'm hearing with non-duality is they're now bending it because they're having to tell, they have to admit begrudgingly trauma and people are sufficient to override the message of non-duality. But it's not to the fucking people, the message. The message is about people, not for people, yeah? And it's not meant for the people's ears, it's meant to the ears. So that that which you are hears about that which it's not, so that it gets a sense, hey, maybe I'm not that, yeah? That's if you want to see that it goes bing to everywhere, and then gets regurgitated, digested, drops into somewhere, and then somewhere starts telling all his friends that he's everywhere. Yeah, no, but it's not, see, it's to that, and then bam, it goes in, and then without even knowing it, this starts to travel lighter. And then it's trying to figure out, what role do I have in this? You know, because it has to have a role, it has to have relevance, and when it doesn't, yes, it doesn't. Yeah. You see it a little? Yeah. So the message has been delivered to the right mailbox. Yes? And I have total faith in what reads the message, and I have total faith that it can regurgitate and digest, and then it will download through you. And then you'll start expressing in your own little separate individual manner, traveling lighter. Yeah? Yeah. So, any other questions? Did you get the little thing of that? Yes. So if the message goes to this, about that, yeah, then there's going to be a lot of debates about free will, blah, 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 blah. Oh, this is spiritual bypassing. You've got to go into your traumas and do it. But if the message goes to bow, that, yeah, and then gets downloaded into this, probably you'll never have another question to ask because you'll see the pointlessness of it for this trying to garner an understanding about itself as itself. It has enough already. It's here, yeah? Instead, you'll see the expression of that through this, yeah? And hopefully you'll have an honoring of it and a gratitude around it, and maybe the action figure will reach its highest heights, which is maybe it will have acceptance of things that are going on. Maybe it will feel a little empathy for others. Maybe it will be available and be of service, and it will reach its highest fucking calling. But it's quite limited in its nature because it's not so. Yeah? Yeah.
And it's still funny.
Hmm?
And it's funny.
Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah.
It's like you use traveling lighter when I used to hear that first times, as opposed to like when you said it in a way that it was already making sense anyway, that you're not even noticing that you're traveling lighter, except maybe occasionally.
Yeah.
But you notice by its absence, but then even that you don't want to notice anymore.
Yeah, or you hear others, and then you notice,
yeah.
wow, jeez, Christ. Yeah. Yeah. Because you lose interest in all the noticing. The living goes on, it doesn't need that much noticing. Does it really? I don't have to notice I'm in Hawaii when I'm in Hawaii. I'm in Hawaii. That's not a big leap, yeah? And then the idea of mindfulness always flips me out. I'm going into opinions now, but how can that which is all mind be mindful? It's completely mindful.
That's why I wanted to say the funny thing, because it's kind of like Escher-like. It's Escher-like as far as if you start falling into like, well, but it wasn't supposed to be funny, and it's something wrong. It's not serious enough, and as opposed to just suddenly, it's funny that was seen that way.
Yeah.
But you can't really get into it to like prove it or, you know.
I think it's just really, See that you can't, my feeling is there's a fundamental mistake in you attempting to move interest and attention where you think the interest and attention should be. I just don't see it that way. I see there's a losing of something, and then things get reconfigured, yes? Because that fundamental thing of, if you go to a 2-year seminar, how to lose interest, isn't that being interested? Yeah. Yeah, so there's a fundamental little trap that you get caught in a sense. There's no you, but there's a catching in there. Yeah, just like in AA we have that idea of you have to quit playing God. It doesn't work, but if that which is playing God hears that and tries to quit playing God, that's playing God, isn't it? Yeah, this is the fun, that's like the little Chinese thumb torture. See, you and I are the observation that distorts what's ever observed, which is amazing. How are you going to change that? How are you going to change being the observation of everything? As the observation of everything. Yeah, exactly. So there's mostly what you find out, and when you've arrived at satsang, you probably find out a lot of systems have failed. Yeah? That's how they serve us. A failed system, what can it show you? It's a failed system. In that realizing it's a failed system, then suddenly the attention and interest and the hope or whatever it was that was put in there gets dispersed, gets relieved from that, and then you have enough cards to reshuffle a deck. You know, you have enough chips to play another hand. So it all comes back, and then hopefully something else reconfigures it. So you're not attempting to lose interest in that which is interest. Yes? Yeah, yeah. And suddenly, and if you fall upon how it works, you'll know it because it works. Yeah? You'll see it works. You'll see. That's why Hoang Po and Ramana, I feel, in their writings say the same thing in a lot of different ways. If they're not their writings, people who wrote about teachings that were coming through those guys wrote, and if you read some of their stuff, it's the same thing is said in different ways in all the books. And usually it's prefaced as the greatest mystery or the problem, so it's giving an importance. Yeah, and you can read it in different ways, but it's basically saying the same thing of the idea of using the Buddha to seek the Buddha. Yeah? And the point is, if you were at a meeting of Jim, Mary, Jill, Sue, and Bill, it wouldn't be appropriate to say, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. But if Jill, Mary, Bill, and Sue, aka are the Buddha, then it's incredible, clear. So you're talking not to Bill, Jill, Mary, Sue, you're talking to the Buddha about Jill, Mary, Bill, and Sue. Because as Jill, Mary, Bill, and Sue, being the Buddha, not knowing that, they're using the Buddha to seek the Buddha. And as Hoang Po said, you can try this for eons and nothing's going to happen. That's a pretty damn good warning, so to speak, yes? And what is it a warning of? It's not a warning to Jim, Bill, Mary, Sue. The expression of hearing the warning may come through them, but it's not a warning to them. It's talking to the Buddha, obviously, yeah? It's talking to the Buddha, it's talking to reality when Ramana says the greatest mystery, I'm going to paraphrase it, is that reality is attempting to attain reality. That's the greatest mystery. Why would he say that to anyone who wasn't reality? Because it wouldn't be appropriate to Jim, Bill, Sue, Mary if you were separate, long-lasting, independent things. He was talking to Jill, Mill, Bill, whatever, are all reality, seeking to attain reality as Bill, Jim, da-da-da-da-da. So by seeing what you're not, that's the finding out that you're reality. And in finding out that you're reality, the idea of using yourself to attain yourself is fucking ludicrous, so you start laughing quite a lot, because that's what you seem to have been doing for years. And you're like, what? And it's freaking pretty hilarious. And then it's like, well, all right, well, we got to change it. No, you don't. Just see you're not that. That's what it's going to do. You know what? You ever see the dog running after its tail? It doesn't get that it's part of the dog. It doesn't dawn on it, and it can do it for 30 minutes. And it's like it's an incredible race, and I want to get that fucking thing. It doesn't see that it's connected. Yeah. Our view isn't that limited. Maybe as Paul and Bill and Matt and it is, but not as Buddha. Yeah. You can see that you've been running after your own fucking tail. All right, so that's that, eh? Well, let's pass the basket. There's a basket back there, so